So let's talk about seller credits or seller concession. When you're buying a home, if the realtor can negotiate this or whoever can negotiate this, the seller is allowed to give you what they call a credit or concessions, meaning they can help cover some of the cost that's involved in the mortgage loan. They can't pay your down payment, but they can give you stuff toward your closing costs or costs involved, like, your home inspection or your fees you pay for a lender, title and escrow, all that good stuff, or a lot of times to buy down your interest rate. So what does that mean? It means that the seller says, listen, I'm going to sell the house for, let's say, for example, we're going to sell you that house for $500,000. And the seller's going to make $300,000 profit because they owe $200,000 on their mortgage. And they're saying, listen, I want to incentivize you. I like you. Or, hey, I want to get you to buy this home because I need to move really quick or whatever the case may be. I'm going to give you $5,000 of my profits toward your credit, Mr. Buyer. So instead of them making the $300,000 profit, at the end of the day, the title and escrow company handles all of it. They take $5,000 from their net proceeds and you get a credit for the buyer. And now the buyer gets to use that money for however they allocate it for their closing costs. So that's where they kind of come to a lender and say, listen, hey, guess what? Realtor told me I get $5,000 from the seller. What can we do to help offset that, right? So let's say their closing costs are $10,000 for everything. Well, that $5,000 goes toward that. Now the buyer only has to come in with $5,000 of closing costs versus 10. Or they can say, hey, listen, I was already planning on paying my $10,000 for closing costs. This extra $5,000, how is it going to benefit me the most? Let's buy down the interest rate, which is another video I've done. You can look it up. So instead of having maybe a 6.5 interest rate, we now have a 5.875 interest rate, and the seller basically paid for that. So seller concessions, seller credits are good. Again, they cannot be used for down payment, but they can be used to cover your closing costs, which you need to obviously close on a loan. So it's pretty cool to get those if it's negotiated correctly. And now check with your loan officer too, because there are what they call IPCs, which is interested party contributions, meaning there's a cap on how much the seller can give you. If you find a seller's like, hey, I'm going to give you $100,000. I love you. You're my brother. You're great. You're my church friend. That might not be, I can tell you right now, there's no program that allows that. So depending on your loan program, FHA allows 6%. Conventional, depending on your down payment, is anywhere from 3 to 6%. VA has a cap too. So they can't just give you unlimited money. So just in case, check with your loan officer as well, because that's something that sometimes a realtor does a really good job of negotiating some great credits and concessions. And you're like, oh, that's too much. I can't get it. And guess what? If you don't use it, it goes back to the seller.